What is the stupidest thing you've done just to show you could do it? Let a friend taste me in the butt for 1,000 pesos, about 30 US cents LMAO. Edit. Colombian pesos. When you get taste in the ass for 30 cents. You're doing it for the kink. I let a black widow spider bite me to prove that they were venomous but not deadly. I also won a $150 bet. Chugged way too much apple cider vinegar. Huge mistake. As a kid I told my friends I could hold my breath for a long time. Long enough to pass out. In fact. And that's exactly what I proceeded to do. In grade school. Maybe age 11 or 12. I had these cheap gains. I figured out that I could flex my belly and pop the button open. Found this funny and guy friends in class got a laugh too. One of them turns to a girl. Hey girl, check out what OP can do. I flex my belly and let out a huge fart while the button popped open. She turned away. I buddy laughed. Played that stupid F-King 5-finger fillet game with a compass back when I was in school. As I got more confidence I obviously got faster and inevitably the point went right into the side of my fingertip. F-King idiot. I told my 6th grade friends I could just off a 2-story roof and not get hurt. Guess who only got a scraped knee that day? Not me. When I was 6 I stapled my fingers because I had convinced all of my friends that I had iron hands. Walked through the brush of our tree line to get a football to prove it wasn't poison ivy. I did it. I got the football. It was poison ivy. I stabbed my leg with a pencil in elementary school. I told people I couldn't really feel much pain, which, at the time, was true. There was a spot on my leg from the lead for years. Lol. I still have a piece of graphite in my left hand from getting stabbed with a pencil 33 years ago. Edit. All you mad lads with a piece in your F-King eyeballs. Alright already. You win. A buddy bet I couldn't finish the spiciest chicken sandwich at this joint known for insanely spicy chicken in under 30 minutes. I knew I F-K'd up when they gave me gloves to eat the sandwich so the sauce couldn't touch my skin and made me sign a waiver. Won the bet. But really I lost in the end. Edit. Wow, this blew TF up. Thanks for the gold. For anyone who wanted to know. This was at Howlin' Rays in LA. The Howlin' Hot lived up to its name. Stuck my tongue to a metal pole on the playground in the dead of winter. To my credit, I had not yet seen A Christmas Story and my friend's older brother had just said don't put your tongue on that and not in a warning tone. More of a you won't tone. We all now know what the result is when you put a tongue to a metal pole in the dead of winter. My tongue instantly stuck to the pole. I was stunned. To make matters worse, the morning recess bell rang. In a panic I grabbed my tongue and ripped it off. Blood was everywhere. Fast forward a quick trip to the hospital and I got to eat pudding for a week straight. In 2001, my sister got me a Sony phone. A tiny little thing with a flip down front. She worked in a phone shop and got discount. On the box, it said the phone was waterproof and there were tiny rubber seals in places. I believed them. At the pub where I worked, this aspect came up in conversation. Some guy said the phone couldn't be waterproof. And that showerproof was probably more accurate. Remembering the box, I argued the point. Full stop. Full stop. And dropped my phone into a pint of beer in an effort to prove it. I was wrong. Brutal but well earned life lesson. Won a donut eating contest. In 10 minutes I ate about 17 donuts. And seconds before the time was up and I had all of my thoughts set on having a hearty cleansing puke, a motherfucker who wasn't even taking part yelled that throwing up afterwards should disqualify you. Somebody counted that I took in a few days worth of calories. My appetite came back 2 days after. A motherfucker who wasn't even taking part yelled that throwing up afterwards should disqualify you. Ridiculous. You ate the most donuts in the allotted time frame. Everything after that doesn't matter. Cliff diving. Saw old man do a front flip off a 40-foot cliff. I said if he can do it, So can I. I did the flip alright. Followed by a belly flop that Zeus could hear. Knocked the air out of me. But luckily people were floating nearby to save my dumb ass. When I was around 12, I was neglecting to flush my piss. Too busy playing Armored Core. So my dear mother brings me into the bathroom. And tells me if I don't flush next time, she's going to dip my hands in the piss. I looked at her. Made a hammer fist. Smashed it in the toilet. Covered myself in piss. Only a little on her, thank God. Close bracket. I wasn't even a malicious child. Just salivated at the opportunity to show I could withstand the punishment and was thus unafraid. Did 5 pull-ups on an antenna strut 400 feet up on an antenna tower not tied off. My partner was a heavy smoker. And at the time, I'd never touched a cigarette. I would sub-glouse and sometimes not so subtly, but always living glouse urge her to quit. She told me I had no idea how hard it was. I decided to take up smoking for about a month and then quit just to show her I could do it. That was 10 years ago. I'm on a pack a day. She no longer smokes. Snuck into the Hilton and confiscated a white robe. Got caught and they let me go without checking my backpack. That's alcohol for you. Not me, but one of my former co-workers told us about the time he ate a tub of butter on a dare. He made it about halfway through and had to throw up. He said what came out was neon yellow. For the next month, the smell of butter made him gag, and when he perspired, he could still smell it. You'd think he'd learn, but he attempted the butter tub challenge a second time. This time, he paced himself and actually finished the whole thing. He said the FCK up there was eating it before having to catch a train. While he was waiting, his heart was racing and he felt so amped up. He did push-ups and jumping jacks at Penn Station. I don't even like the stuff. One friend gets super creeped up when someone starts running at him like a dog. My friend realized I'm an expert in running like a dog. Ate the largest box of goldfish in one night in college. Don't do this. Oh my god, I thought this was talking about real goldfish. Shoved my pointer finger into my nose up to second knuckle. I then got a sinus infection. Who knew? My daughter did that to me when she was 2. Then she hooked her finger and pulled. Had a terrible blood nose, and for a few days if I sneezed it would start back up. 0/10 would not recommend. Remained standing through as much taser as possible. My friend used up the battery on himself and said he was trying to get used to it. He said that eventually he would be able to remain standing. I said what the hell and tried. It's not easy fighting electroconvulsive action. We tasted ourselves and each other a bunch of times. I don't think we got better at resisting it. Tell me more about tasting yourselves. I proved to myself that it's possible to eat 5 kilos of shrimp in one sitting. I also proved that eating 5 kilos of shrimp in one sitting will make you very, very sick. Not me, but my dad's friend. They were all sitting around being dumb drunk rednecks. And one of them was like, I betcha I can get this entire beer can down in one of their Coke bottles. And proceeded to do it by shredding the can by hand. Cutting his fingers to tea in the process. But damn it. He got it all in there. Piece by stupid piece. Chug an entire bottle of cheap wine in like 20 seconds. But thanks anyway to the neighbor who almost called 911 when I threw up blood. Not blood, just bad decisions. Was trying to do this stunt on a dirt bike to impress this dude. Ended up falling and breaking my collarbone. Peed on the ceiling. I have strong peeing muscles. Jumped illegally over the China-Myanmar border. And back again. Edit. Well, this blew up. This was in 2002. I was in China legally. In the town of Ruli, Yunnan province. Across a small stream and 2 thin strings of barbed wire was the City of Muse registered sign, White Elephant City, Myanmar, which was closed to foreigners at the time. A group of opium addicts were smoking in the thick bushes growing near the border and invited me over for a chat. I saw no border guards were within line of sight of me. So I did. We had an interesting chat in a mixture of English and Chinese. Later I wandered into the closest narrow street lined with dilapidated white wooden buildings, with bearded men in sarongs wandering around. I bought a Burmese noodle dish. No alcohol available in that state. Then I hightailed it back to the same crossing spot and over. About 90 minutes after I first went over. Really. China is, or at least was, a lawless borderland. With all the vices that lawless border towns typically attract. My crossing was the least of the local authorities' worries. I wouldn't repeat it or recommend it to anyone. Though. I was learning MMA for 3 months when some guy challenged me to a fight. I immediately accepted it because I wanted to impress my crush by beating him. Turns out he was a national champion and was in the state for a MMA tournament. I was about 4 years old and my grandfather was making something with buttermilk. I saw it in his hand. And I cried and screamed and begged to have some. He kept saying no. You won't like it. But I persisted. He finally poured me an entire glass. I took one swig and I'm sure he could see the disgust on my face. Because he looked like he had one. I stared at him right in his eyeballs as I chugged the entire glass. The cinnamon challenge. I've always been good at those weird food challenges, so I did it pretty easily. But some people really f***ed up their lungs trying it. My sister-in-law did this and now she's allergic to cinnamon. Never realized how many things have cinnamon before then. I downed half a fifth of Jaeger in one go because everyone said I could not do it. Ended up falling in a river outside my apartment having a smoke midwinter in Michigan. Washed down about a quarter mile before I could grab onto something to get out. Made my way back home. Nobody had any idea until I walked in soaking wet in frozen clothes. It was about that time I passed the F out on the floor. Looking back, they probably should have taken me to hospital. I ate a bar of soap. Many hot sauce related things. There comes a point in every drunk man's life where he finds himself standing on the edge of a precipice, apartment building roof, staring into the distance at glory, a f***ing tree, separated from him by a challenge, or 3-story fall. The weak man will shrug his shoulders, slink back to safety, and carry on with his night as if he never glimpsed what could have been. But the bold, stupid man will look across the chasm and see the greatness that awaits him on the other side. He will stride to the edge, hand off the extra reserve of courage, beer, that he no longer needs for what must be done. He will stare into the heavens and proclaim into the night, I can jump that far. It turns out that I could not jump that far. Crushing beers on my forehead. Still stupid. I'll still do it. Drank a block of molten butter out of a funnel you normally use for beer. It goes down surprisingly easy, but I was sick for the rest of the day. At least I got a beer and a new block of butter as compensation. Tried to keep up with stoners. Went to visit my cousins who were massive stoners for the day. We arrived. I tried to keep up with them and then passed out on the couch for the rest of the visit. Let someone shock my wrist with a dog's shock collar. He called me a PSSY. I had no other choice. Both times were to impress a lady. First one was I picked up a 2-3 foot long gopher snake. I successfully grabbed it, but it also bit the FCK out of me. The second one I still get anxiety sometimes when I think about it. But I was drunk as FCK and with a girl I really liked, and for some reason the subject of climbing this parking garage came up and I felt the need to show everyone that we were with that you could indeed climb the building from a single pipe on the side. I then without warning immediately began my ascent and was already a floor up before my friends could stop me. I then proceeded to climb all 5 stories using the wall and the pipe. Topped out to all the people we were with freaking out, and then my best friend slapped the shit out of me. Good times. But that could have been bad. Ran a marathon. Did a half marathon with an okay time and pace with training. Got overzealous, decided I was ready for a full marathon with less training. Oh boy, was that a humbling experience. My pace all the way to the halfway point was good, same pace as my half marathon, but the other half of the marathon hit me like a brick. Almost dead last but still managed to do it. When I was a kid my brother bet me he could hold his breath longer than me. My brother is a lot older than me so his lungs were obviously bigger. I was determined to win though. So I held my breath so long that I ended up passing out. I won the beat but ended up having my first panic attack immediately after regaining consciousness. The joys of being young. I used to work at a shitty movie theater. As it gets to midnight all the employees hang out behind the concessions counter and shoot the shitty. Eat the popcorn before we have to throw it out. Etc. One of them dared someone to do a butter shot. But like, the liquid butter for popcorn is way closer to straight oil. So an oil shot. I'm always a SLT for attention so I said pass it to me and I downed it without letting myself think about the consequences. It tasted like liquid plastic and I hated it but everyone was howling and incredulous and I felt cool for a whole minute. Shat my brains out the next morning. Worth it. Edit. Spelling. Edit 2. I wake up to an award. My first. What a thing to see on my day off. Thanks you awesome losers. I'd like to thank my impulsive nature and God and also Jesus and. Edit 3. GOLD. Question mark. I intentionally got addicted to cigarettes in college to prove my roommate I could quit. Worked my way up to about a half pack a day in a little over a month and then quit cold turkey to win a case of beer. Unlike that other guy way up there AO. I, at age like 9-10, wanted a cookie that my friend had. Said friend proceeded to completely lick the entire cookie. Still want it? He said holding it out. Dumbass me proceeded to grab it and eat it in one bite. Total power move looking back on it. Punched a giant plate glass window out of a jewelry shop in Palm Springs when I was 21. Total drunk dick energy. Window slashed my hand wide open. And all I remember is seeing my buddy sprinting away when the store alarm started blaring. My other friend picked me up in front of the store. Blood was literally spraying out of my hand all over his back seat. And he got me to hospital and into ICU. When emergency room doctor pulled out 6-inch needle I passed out cold. Woke up about 12 hours later with a throbbing headache. Bandages up hand. Finals started the next week and I couldn't write with my left hand. So had to use my right. Also took me a good year to get my dexterity back to play guitar. Total asshole move on my part. Ate 2% of my body weight in chicken nuggets. Similarly. Got high one night. Ordered 4-20-piece McNuggets. Think I got to 52 before puking then tried to eat more after that. Haven't really had McNuggets since. I can do a standing backflip. The best time to prove this isn't when you're 7 drinks deep wearing a short bridesmaid's dress and underwear made for speed not comfort. Yep, bride's grandma got to see my ass but I landed it perfectly. When I was in junior school we all had to play this game called Times Tables Rockstars. Just your average educational flash game. My friend said he'd give me $10 if I had 10,000 coins by the end of the week. I stayed up every single night. By the end of the week I had 986. 999. I can touch the tip of my nose with my tongue. I know that's not stupid unless you do it in front of your crush and you think you'll be showing off by going a step further and slightly inserting your tongue in one of your nostrils. I can do that. Yeah, I could see the disgust on her face. Snuck out a window in the middle of class. Ran about 30 feet to the parking lot and touched the teacher's car without him noticing. It was a robotics class. Some kids missed it and didn't believe me so I did it a second time. Edit. This was in middle school too lol. And it had those windows that like slant, I guess. Snorted fun dip. Downed a whole bottle of champagne. Well, more like 3/4. Since a bunch of it sprayed out when we popped the cork. Came right back up. This is also why you don't chug cider. That shitty just bounces like it's a trampoline. I belly flopped of a 20-foot tall diving board. I ate an entire normal sized jar of jelly with a spoon in probably 30-45 minutes. Front flip off of a high dive at 12 years old. I belly flopped. The lifeguard laughed. It popped a hole in my lung, letting air into my chest. A backflip. I weighed just over 400 pounds at the time. My friend and I just finished eating at a local burger place and we were walking around the town. I told him I could vomit on command, but he didn't believe me. So I vomited into the nearest bush. He laughed so he started vomiting. The end.